Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Once again, this is your host Sakina Habib on Youth Matters, and uh, I would like to talk about embracing motherhood, coping with motherhood in the digital era today. So I'm sure most of us in today's digital era are facing a lot of challenges and dilemmas in parenting when it comes to our children. Of course, our lifestyles have become very rushed, and there's social media gadgets that we've been swarmed with, and our kids are also surrounded with it. So the transformative experience of motherhood today is, to be honest, deeply interwoven with advancing technology and social media, and it is balancing traditional nurturing roles with new opportunities and challenges presented by the digital community and by the digital connectivity and information access. So, what happens is that modern mothers, especially, I would say, find it very difficult to navigate a hyper connected world where virtual communities offer support, information, and empowerment while also confronting issues like unrealistic expectations, for example, privacy concerns and maintaining quality family time. And in all of this, it becomes very difficult to take care of yourself and to also take care of your children, as well as make sure that they're aligned with the current world, as well as you're maintaining the spiritual aspect, which is like related to your faith and maintaining your roots basically. So on today's program, we'll be talking about how can we cope with the struggles of motherhood, parenting in general, and let's talk about how important it is more about being present rather than being perfect in everything. I would like to welcome our guest on board with us, Sister Omul Banin Rizvi, and inshallah we'd like to take the conversation on board. Assalamu alaikum. How are you, Omul Banin? Lovely to have you. Hope you're well, inshallah.
Yeah, Assalamu alaikum, Sakina. Thank you for inviting me to this discussion. And the topic itself is, I think, really a
Yeah.
good choice for today's times.
Yes, absolutely. I think that it's very important to talk about this topic because it's a hot topic. Actually, everybody is very much involved in how to parent, how to do the right upbringing and tarbiyah of their children, especially during these very difficult times. Where like if we talk about our parents, for example, our great grandparents, they didn't have like they were not living in a world of like social media and technology, and so that made things a lot more easier because they could concentrate on bringing up their children, nurturing them well, along with fostering traditional values, and involving them as much as possible within the communities. But you see, today I feel like somehow, because of course the time management and the way the world is running at a very fast pace, it's very difficult to balance every minute part of our lives, right? Like every hour matters, every minute, every second matters. So if we were to talk about how has social media actually changed mothers' identities online today, what would you say from your perspective? Do you think it is actually influencing a lot of parents, especially mothers today, in the sense of affecting maternal mental health and social connectedness?
Yeah, so brilliant introduction to the topic. And I think what you said about our grandparents' times, our great grandparents' times, it's just so true how times have changed for everyone in everyone's roles, the family itself. So when we come down to motherhood, motherhood has changed. What our grandmothers or even our mothers, Even if we just go back to our mother's time, there was no such thing as social media. They didn't have smartphones, right? They lived in a different time. Yes, there was a TV, but they lived in a very different time. They were parenting us, raising us in different times, in different ways. The tools they had were different to what we have now, and also what we are exposed to now. So it's a tough situation because on the one hand, we've advanced so much. There are so many benefits to social media, right? We know that there's so many benefits in general in the modern era that will help us in our parenting journey. No doubt about that. Like as a new mother, when we all became new mothers for the first time, we didn't really have to ask around, so many questions. We could just go on Google, look at reliable sources, reliable websites like What to Expect or something, and you'd get a breakdown of what to do with your newborn child. Um, so that is something mothers in the past never had. So yes, there are like amazing benefits to it, but there is the other side. And sometimes I envy my mother, and I'm thinking you had it quite easy in the sense that there wasn't this external influence neither on you as a mother, on your mental health, and on your children's upbringing. It was mainly you or the father, your husband, who was involved in the upbringing, and maybe if you had the joint family, you had them. But now there are so many things that will influence our children and influence us as well, and change the way we parent altogether. So it's yeah, there's a lot to unpack here, and the mental health aspect that you mentioned, if we can first maybe talk about that, because that's a huge element that mothers are facing right now because of social media.
Yeah, absolutely. So as you said, I don't know if many people would agree or disagree, but yeah, you said that, our parents found it a bit easier, like especially dealing with the infant stage, the newborn stage and everything. So yeah, I do agree to that as well. In fact, there are a lot of things that you yourself figure out. I mean, you have to figure out on your own. Like sometimes even the manuals that are provided to you, the books, the guides, the opinions, it doesn't match with every woman because every woman is very different. Okay, so I some people, they generalize this point and say, oh, you're a woman, so like just deal with it. Every woman goes
Mm,
through these kind of things, right? But actually, that's something that I personally do not agree with, because every woman's mindset is different, every woman's
mm,
body is different, every woman's upbringing, thoughts, culture, background, everything matters, the way she was even brought up and everything. So all of that, when it comes to bringing up now her children, affects, because that thing passes on, right? So some like I remember some women always saying that, for example, pregnancy is very easy, every woman goes through it, and then taking care of your child is also something very natural, like every mother should be
mm,
able to do it. But not it doesn't come naturally to every woman. Every woman, is designed in a different way, and sometimes those things don't feel very natural and realistic at some point.
mm,
And I've seen a lot of mothers and personally experienced, like you feel very alienated, very isolated as well, at that stage, that when people don't tend to understand you. So
mm,
right now, as social media is like upgrading on a daily basis, the fact that so many women from different parts of the world have actually like started addressing these issues of mental health, that how they felt, for example, after having a child, and also the fact that that connection doesn't just automatically come, it comes after a while. This is all like psychology, this is all science based and everything. But unfortunately, in the past, I think because of our cultures and because of the way that things were just made very normalized basically in the past, nobody really like thought about this or considered that this thing actually can exist, like it exists, mental health of a woman exists, the psyche of a woman changes after becoming a mother. Now people are, because people are raising this awareness and are bringing up these concerns, is now the fact that when women are starting to accept that, it's not like a midnight change, right? It's not like an overnight change, you're gonna become a superhero mother. No, it takes a while and time, right? So this is something that I wanted to just put out. And what do you think? What are some of the ethical concerns, Banin, around privacy, like when it comes to parenting today? Like, for example, you see a lot of mothers, especially in the West, posting online, sharing thoughts, their daily routines, reflections on their personal, individual journeys, of getting into motherhood. Like, I'm sure you must have seen, especially on Instagram and TikTok, their lifestyles, like what's happening on a daily basis, and what are they feeding their children,
Yeah.
for example, what are they making them wear. Some women even share their entire journeys of how they're raising their children, right? So do you think this is a good thing or a bad thing? What are the pros and cons to it, and how is it affecting other women around the world mentally?
So, ethical concerns, mental health concerns, and also Islamic values. These all are all issues, or these are all areas that are affected with social media use. So not only are we exposing our private lives on social media. So there's one thing to talk about your journey or share some experiences here and there, maybe, because that may inspire people. So this is a good side, I would say. When you share your journey, like you said, there's a moment of connection with other mothers. People can feel heard, people can feel validated that, oh, there's another woman out there going through something like this. She's finding it hard. It's not an easy journey for her. It's not coming naturally to her. She's going through sleep deprivation, or also so many other matters. So that is the positive side of sharing something, because you will be sharing with another woman out there, maybe, who feels alone, and watching your post, reading your post will maybe motivate her, give her a bit of hope, a bit of strength that there is light at the end of the tunnel, that this phase will soon be over. But then also, privacy issues, your own life, you're exposing your own life to social media. You'll be open to comments, negative and positive, and also your own children. Is it right, ethically, is it right for you to tell other people, strangers, what your child eats and does throughout their day? And this goes further sometimes with some mothers when they start making vlogs about their routine and show, make videos of what the children are doing or the activities they're doing. So you're without the child's consent, because they can't give consent, you're putting them on social media. You might not even be showing your own face. You're a Muslim practicing mother, you don't want to be on social media, but your child is there. So is that right? Is that fair, really? If you think about it, in the future, will your children appreciate you doing that to them? Maybe, maybe not, right? So there is a good side of you're helping other people, maybe giving them knowledge, sharing inspirational stories, but there's also that element. And then there's also the mental health side of things, where I also think this is an ethical issue when you share your life too much. Because for yourself, and for, again, there's two sides. It's yourself, the person who's making that content, so those people who we call mom influencers, right? For themselves, what is it doing for themselves? It's creating this image, so this idea of perfection, right? That I have to be perfect. What I post online is going to be perfect, right? It won't be the usual everyday motherhood that we see. The raw stuff probably won't be there. It'll be the perfect stuff, and that puts pressure on you. It puts stress on you when you're making such content. You're almost performing, right? You're performing to a standard to show that I'm this great mother. And then on the other side is the person who's viewing your content, the mother who's not going to be posting, but who likes to just view content. Someone like myself, I don't like posting, but I'm probably the viewer, the one who's consuming this content. So for that person, if you're showing this perfect lifestyle, that you're such a perfect mother, you have this routine, kids wake up at 7 a.m., amazing healthy breakfast, and then they go for, for a jog or something, and then you do all this learning and play, and then you take them out, like an amazing day. For that mother who's just sitting at home feeling a bit overwhelmed, just being around their children, they'll think I'm such a bad mother, or I'm so lazy, or I'm so, I'm not good enough for my child, basically. So these things, depending on the person, what they're going through right at that moment, how they perceive this content could affect their mental health. If you're already going through, for example, postpartum depression or something, and then you see things like this, it will just make you feel low self-esteem, a sense of guilt that you're not a good enough mother, right? And that's the mental aspect of things. And on top of that, just you always deal with guilt anyway, right? You don't need social media to add to the guilt. You have family around you, you have other mothers in the community, and just your own thoughts sometimes are enough to make you feel guilty. When you look at people, you think, oh, look at what they're doing, and I'm not, perhaps I'm not doing the right thing, or perhaps I'm not good enough, because of this idea of this good mother. What is a good mother? What culture says is a good mother? So social media would just amplify that, I believe. And then there's the Islamic values that are targeted because of our social media use, for everyone. But again, when it comes to mothers, you're posting things about your life, and there's, if it's going to be very like based on material things, like, oh, I got these clothes for my children, or I got this thing for my child, or I got this, or we went out here, we ate out here, we did this. There will be an element of riyah, of showing off. So there's that thing that we need to take care of, that when we're posting or making such content, are we falling into that category of showing off? Because then we're in some gray areas there, right? What is our intention behind that? It all comes back down to intention. When we're talking about values, why are we posting this? Are we trying to show off, or are we trying to share something, a real inspirational moment? And then there's also the idea of maybe misleading people, because like we said, we are not always perfect, and if we pretend that we are on social media, Islamically, we're either lying outright, or we are misleading people about what we are and who we are, and we're also lying to ourselves, right? So there's that aspect. Then there's also the for a woman, if she is in hijab but she decides to share a lot of content about her personal life, there's the element of haya and modesty. So oversharing, whether it's pictures, videos, or even very personal stories, um, can you maintain your modesty? Can you maintain your haya while posting such content? That's another question that we have to think about. So these are some of the things that I think we forget when it comes to social media. We do remember privacy. A lot of times, privacy is our top concern, that we don't want to, with strangers getting our content or getting pictures of our children. But we sometimes forget about these values that we are risking, and that we're promoting, showing off, promoting this idea of wealth or money making, because a lot of women have made motherhood into a brand, unfortunately. Not just Western women, Western mothers. There are a lot of Muslim mothers out there as well. So their page is a brand in itself. Um, they make money out of it. It's monetized. So how good is that Islamically? Before we even talk about other things, how good is that Islamically for us? So these are some of the concerns. And lastly, mental health. We forget that Islamically, just as our body is an amana to us, our mental health is part of our health, right? So this is also an amana. If we're not mentally healthy because of something that we've done, because of something we're consuming, so whether I'm making the content and it's making me all stressed and anxious, or whether I'm consuming the social media that's making me feel guilt and shame, or whatever feelings it might create, I'm not taking care of my mental health. So in Islam, a mother, her dignity is beyond anything else. We've told about the status of a mother in Islam. The fact that the Jannah is under the feet of the mothers, that we often hear the hadith, right? So for us, we need to take care of ourselves. That's a huge priority before we can even start taking care of our children or raising them right. And our mental health is a part of that. If we're not careful where that's leading us to, and we're going down this path, then we really need to question our use and how good is it for us, whether it's more positive or more negative for our mental health. I think that's really important. But like
Yeah.
I would like to ask you this question as well. Do you think, this was my opinion, maybe I'm leaning more on the negative side of things, but I would like to hear if you think the positive side of social media is worth mothers investing into it so much.
Yeah, so it's a very good points, by the way, Umul Baneen. Like, there were some points that I personally could resonate with as well. So yeah, your question, going back to your question, I think it's all about balance, honest. Like, as you said, if a mother is, branding, or monetizing her child, like I've seen a lot of mothers who, use their children as products of like making them wear, for example, good clothes, right? Like, branded clothes.
Mm,
So I've seen some of my own friends whom I know doing that, and they've got these hi-fi businesses, and they put their uh, children wearing new outfits every day, and then they're promoting those clothes basically, right? But their child is in the picture. So I
mm,
wouldn't, as a mother, I wouldn't want to do that, obviously, because if my child tomorrow, uh, being a teenager, or being an adult, questions me, then I wasn't comfortable with this, and why did you do that at that time? I wouldn't have an answer to it. Of course, yeah, I made money, but that haya that you said, especially if it's a girl, right?
mm,
All those questions come into mind. So yes, no, I don't think it's always right to share your very intimate, like very private, very confidential journeys. Like I've seen some mothers who share their pregnancy journeys throughout, like from day one,
yeah.
what's happening in their first trimester, second trimester. So these things are a bit private, and obviously sharing them online, uh, you know sort of makes the audience as well, like, lose the sense and concept of that sacredness of what a woman is basically like. It's just for the woman herself, basically, right? It's a very sacred thing. So yes, these kind of things should be avoided. But yeah, I've seen sometimes where you've got like insta mummies like posting quotes or like information, but like in text form. So like there is no pictures there. There is no like like they're not showing their bodies or faces or
Mm,
something like that, but like they're just their reflections and experiences that are being shared in like texts. So sometimes that is a bit helpful. I do find that helpful, like when I was talking about the postpartum depression and the psychology behind it. And when I
mm,
read those kind of posts, so I do like, because I gain knowledge out of it, and I feel like
mm,
I'm not the only one who went through a hard time. For example, it's something common that many women went through. So it makes me feel a bit better that way. So yeah, there's the two sides of it. And then, as you said, the pressure of being the good mother, especially in the digital era. So there's a difference when it comes to being a very good mother and being a real mother. A good mother is the one who's, as you said, she's posting these amazing meal preps early in the morning at 7 a.m. And her kids are having like these amazing pancakes with chocolate syrup and strawberries all over them. And I mean,
yeah,
I do make pancakes for my daughter, but I wouldn't go over the top, like putting the sprinkles and the the strawberries and everything. I don't have time for that. But you see, as long as my daughter becomes happy that I've at least made for her simple pancakes. And we should also teach our children in this way, that all that we can present to you right now, this is have at the moment. I was reading about this, that how we should also make our kids understand the value of, for example, money today. The value of money,
mm,
like for example, when we go to a shopping supermarket, when we're going. So there are days when you don't have enough to spend, right? Obviously, it's not like we're rich every day. And so if my kid wants to buy everything in the supermarket, I can't just be like, yeah, feel free, go choose whatever you want and I'll pay for it. So how do I teach them? I'll tell them that, okay, so this is the budget that that we can spend today for. This is the amount that we can spend. Look around and see that what matches or this budget. And so, that makes a person, the child, understand that, for today I can spend this much amount. And so they learn to even value the currency today, right? So,
Mm.
like, there are these kind of small actions and gestures that also prep them on how to become, of course, mature adults in the future. So these things are, I feel like, we should add them in our daily life, and that's called being a real mother. And sometimes,
Yeah.
the fact that, okay, for example, if I'm really tired, maybe on a day or two, I don't feel like playing with them or coming out of bed as well, or if I'm asking maybe their dad to help around, or just try to entertain them for an hour or two. So that's also a good sign. Like, they should, how they would see this, that, okay, my parents are very close to each other, and there's a teamwork over here. When mommy is down, so daddy can be a helping hand, and when daddy is busy,
Mm.
so mommy is the one who's taking over. So that also shows family values. And when they grow up, they understand what's it like to become a mom and a dad, and how a family basically works. So these kind of things, if we try to instill them in our everyday lives, then I feel that's the right type of upbringing, that we're doing in the right direction. And not also overpowering them, and overshadowing them with something that, for example, they're not interested in, right? So my
I think
opinion.
thank you for sharing that. I think you mentioned some great parenting techniques for real life application. And that's the thing with parenting, isn't it? We forget that the more a lot of us, we go with the right intention. We open social media, sometimes we come across, and the algorithms also lead us to this. As mothers, if we've been searching for such content, we'll see more of these pages, right? So automatically, and I like those posts too, the ones that you mentioned about the science-backed, tips about parenting and about motherhood in general, getting through those phases of, for example, the newborn phase, or even afterwards with toddlers, how to deal with toddler tantrums and all of those kinds of things. Those are really, really good. So there's huge benefits. The one thing that I don't like the most is probably because, like you said, it's about self-control, it's about balance, how we use these things as well. A lot of it is our responsibility. But the one thing I don't like the most, even if we have the balance and we don't let it affect our mental health, it's about the consumption and time that we spend on it, because we first do it to get tips. We first do it to improve our relationship with our children, be better parents, be better mothers, understand them, understand the psychology. And then we end up going through this rabbit hole where we're doom scrolling almost, and we're spending so much time on it that the very reason we did it, we're neglecting. So now we are neglecting our children to look at motherhood reels and highlights of other mothers doing a great job, while our own children are probably going to be neglected. This is a huge, huge downside. I think we're prone to spending too much time on social media. So I would say use it wisely. Yes, there are good pages. Keep to those good pages where they motivate you, where they have knowledge sharing tips, maybe healthy prep tips, things like that, right? Healthy meals. But also don't overuse it. Don't spend so much time on it that you forget what really matters, your role as a mother in the real world, right? How are you actually behaving with your children? How much time are you actually investing in them? What are you actually teaching them? If they always see you using your phone, what example are you setting, really? So just remember, at the end of the day, it's your connection with your child that's going to really change their lives. That's going to really raise them well, more than any other tips you see anywhere else. It's just being grounded and talking to them and having that bond with them, I think. So
Yeah.
let's not forget that as well.
No, that's I think a wonderful advice that you've shared. That how important it is to be present as a mother. So yes, presence is all that matters, emotionally, mentally, physically, as you said. And sometimes it's true, our phones, they take our time away from our kids, especially the younger early year. Our kids want that attention and that warmth and presence of their parents around us, because as it is, once they grow up, once they start going to school, like primary, secondary, then it's very difficult to keep a track of them or keep them next to you. Then obviously they're the ones who tell you that I've got my life, I've got my friends, and
Yeah.
we're not like, this
You
is
know,
life, right? We
this is
yeah.
why I say at the beginning. This is why I said I know our parents may have had a hard time in other senses, but when it comes to this this because this is all self control really. They never had to really fight themselves the way we fight ourselves daily, on how we use our phones and how much time we'd spend with our children. They were automatic. They had no other choice, basically. They were always with their children. They were always present, weren't they? So, in that sense, they kind of had it easy. Obviously, they had their challenges, but we are fighting like on so many fronts, and we just have to be so careful because we really don't want to have those teenagers, like you said, turn back and say to us, "Oh, we don't need you anymore. You never gave us time when we really needed it, never gave us that quality time." It's one thing just feeding your children, clothing them, and then just letting them be, but actually connecting with them, actually being there for them,
Yeah.
that's different.
Actually be, I there's when a lot of people, they throw comments like, have as many kids as possible, while you're young, and blah blah blah, all those kind of things. So it's like a very it can be very irritating at times. The reason being that they don't understand what's it like raising even just one child today. And there was a time when they would have like so many kids, like five, six, seven, and I don't know how they did it really, but what I think is that if you're raising a child, like one child, so you do it the right way, as you said, like give them quality time, give them proper attention. Not that you have to divide your attention between three, four, and they're running around like mad monkeys at home, and you can't attend that one, that one is feeling left out, this one is I find that very ridiculous in some families. I don't know how they do it. Of course, if you have like a joint system, or if you have enough support, like as you said, those people who have a whole village to take care, and you can afford to take the responsibility, well and good, you can do it. But many of us are struggling today with the fact that we're living, for example, just husband and wife, small families, ideal families, and the workload has increased, the living style has become very expensive, education itself is so expensive. And so it becomes unfair, right, when you treat one child superior to the other, just because you can't afford, for example, or you don't have enough time. And social media has already added so much pressure, our brains are fried. So like, it becomes very difficult. So I feel like it's a personal choice at times as well. Like, how do you want to do the upbringing of your children? What kind of tarbiyah you are doing? How many kids do you want to have on a personal level? So as long as you're giving them their haq, their right, that is the most important thing. And also being present as a mother. So I was reading this post, which was really nice. That motherhood isn't about perfection; it's about presence. And
Mhm.
when we slow down, savor the small moments, and give ourselves permission to enjoy that season, then our kids feel it too. Their laughter grows louder, their smiles shine brighter, and home feels like a safe place for everyone. So those kind of those parents who've got like two under two, for example. Oh my God, I
Mhm.
honestly feel very bad for them because it is
It's
so
tough. It's tough
difficult. It is so
because
difficult.
yeah,
I don't know how they do it.
it's I also don't know how they manage because each child has different needs, right? Some people choose
Yeah,
that for themselves. Everyone has reasons why they choose to have
exactly.
children with a lesser age gap or a larger age gap, or why some people
Yeah,
like I like the idea of big families, right? It's funny how motherhood can
yeah,
change you. So you
yeah. It
might,
does.
before becoming a
I know.
mother, you
It
might
changes
love
you.
the idea of a big family, but until you experience it yourself,
True.
you don't really know if you're able to cope are you the type of
Right.
person who can manage a big family? Are you the type of person who can manage so many children? So I have two boys,
Yeah.
but those two boys, mashallah, they keep me very busy, and I don't have a silent moment
Right.
in my day, right? So I know for me
I
that that's enough of
understand.
a mental load, just the constant chatter and just enjoying that time with
Absolutely.
them. I couldn't imagine more, because I know I wouldn't be able to cope with more. So you need to know your ability and your level, and give your children
Yes.
the amount of love and time they need, rather than just, yeah, not being able to divide your
Give them a
time well
good
enough.
give them a good, yeah, a sane mother is very important, a relaxed, one who has a good mental health. I feel one of the reasons why our parents were always so irritated, and our grandparents who raised them were so irritated, and like scolding them all the time, or I don't know. It was probably one of the reasons was this, and they didn't know they were dealing with so many kids at the same time who were adding
No,
too much pressure on them.
yeah, of course, like,
Well,
um,
so
a
yeah,
mother can only cope or deal with so much. Like, she can't always be um uh,
yeah,
giving out love if she has if she has no
exactly.
you know there's no battery or energy left inside her. If she's drained completely, it's very hard to pour
Yeah,
out that love, although you love your children. But if you are not taking care of yourself, or you don't have
absolutely.
that time for yourself, it's hard to be that mother that you want to be. So always do what you
Right,
can, and only take on the load and the children that you truly can manage. That's really important as well. There's no point chasing to
absolutely.
someone else's ideal, or what someone else says or comments about, that you should have more children, or you should have a children, with a small age gap. But if you know deep down that's not me, I can't do that. It might suit another woman. I know women who deal with it, and some of them deal with it pretty well. Everyone's not the
Yeah,
same.
I've
No
seen
one's
too.
the same.
Yeah,
So
true, very
each to their own, but know your limits, know your boundaries, and take care of your own health as well, so you can be that good mother for your child at the end of the day.
exactly. Thank you so much, Baneen, for sharing those wonderful, very raw, organic, and reflective points. And I'm glad that we were also on the same page on a couple of points. So I hope that many of our like generation mothers would benefit from this, and of course the dads as well. And this can be a useful topic for everybody. So thank you very much for your precious time.
Thank you for having me. It was a really enjoyable discussion, actually. Yeah, thank you.
Same here. Thank you to all our viewers for tuning on today's program, and I hope that this was a beneficial conversation. And inshallah, hope to hear some good feedbacks and comments from you. You may share this program with as many people as possible. Thank you. This is your host Sakina Habib. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.